Apologize to our fans for going 1-4 in the Masters League. I didn't expect that type of beating, but I did play down 10 years, and I've already been in contact with 5 of my UMass teammates, and we will play together in a 65 and older next year, and our fans, we will definitely go undefeated. Now for some important stuff. We are excited that Deng Adel is returning to school. Deng worked out for 7 teams, did quite well with all 7. And, you know, the rules are such that they get a gauge with the proper feedback. If they listen to the feedback, it tells them and helps us exactly what they should work on. And everybody was impressed with his length. Everybody was impressed with his athleticism. Much what we've seen the past couple of years. He has the athleticism, he has the length, he has all the components to be a very good professional basketball player. Now he just has to work on a few skills, and I talked to him last night in depth about it and asked him what he wanted to do, and he is really, really tuned into trying to win a championship. And I actually responded to him. I said, "Dang, it's not that easy. We've only won 3 in the history of the school." And he said, "Well, I'd really like to try and play in a Final Four." And I said, "Well, it's really not that easy." But he kept saying that he felt we would have a great team, and he wants to help lead that team. And then he said, on a personal level, he wants to be a lottery pick. He said that was his goal when he came here. And he asked me what I thought, and I said, if you take the feedback and you work on the skills, you have all the intangible things. I said, but you've got to understand, Kawhi Leonard at San Diego State was your size, and he couldn't shoot the ball at all back then, at least beyond 15 feet. And he was drafted based on his athleticism and his defense. And you've got to make your defense just as strong as your offense to be a lottery pick. And he's going to go to work on that. So he's really, really motivated. And he's coming back for all the right reasons. He's coming back for the team. He's coming back to be a special draft choice. And we're excited because I intend on playing him a lot at the 2-guard spot. We think we will have great length. Obviously we have a 7-foot center with a 7'5" wingspan. We have some power forwards at 6'10" and 6'10" with 7'4" wingspans. We have wing players with great wingspans. And then of course Deng Adel being a 6'7" and change 2-guard gives you great size. So we should be an outstanding defensive team, great fast break team with terrific length, and should cause a lot of problems defensively for people. We'll play the same type of schedule we played last year. Last year we were either 1 or 2, depending on what week it came out. As you all know, we've booked Seton Hall, and they just got their best player, Delgado, back. And then we're going to play one of the top Big Ten teams in the challenge. We know that on the road. We'll play Kentucky on the road, Memphis at Madison Square Garden, and of course we've got the ACC play, and we're playing Indiana at home. So again, we'll have one of the top schedules in the nation, and that should be exciting as well. So we've got a lot of returning players. We really haven't talked about it after the season left. We got a lot of terrific returning players coming back who are highly motivated. We have a couple of the young players. Jordan Wara right now is here working out, and he'll be joined by a few of his teammates come next week. And then I think the most exciting thing about the program right now, besides where we are, is the fact that recruiting has never gone as well as it has in the last couple of years. And we all know that Kenny Johnson can recruit, but David Padgett and Jordan Fair have done an outstanding job as well, and their hard work is really showing in the recruiting circles. And you can tell from the Golden State Warriors right now that talent is really, really important, and recruiting has gone about as well as it has here since I've been the head coach. So it's very exciting times for the players coming back. They're really motivated for the right reasons. Mango is doing real well. Mango had some great workouts. Like I tell people, I think Mango would be a great 11th or 12th man on any professional basketball team because he reminds me of Nazir Mohammed. He's just going to be a great teammate. He's going to keep the guys up. He's got a great personality, a great locker room guy, and he could play defense, block shots, rebound the ball, and a good low post player. So I think Mango may make it. He may be a second-round draft choice and may make a team. Jalen Johnson's a little different story. He's going to have to probably work his way from the D-League on up. But he had an outstanding workout with the Lakers the other day. And today I believe he's in Houston. So we wish, Donovan, we wish all our guys great success. Donovan should be a first-round draft choice, and we're hoping he could be a high first-round draft choice. And we'll be following the NBA draft with great interest and hope all the guys perform extremely well with that night.
What are some of the skills, you mentioned before, skills that you want to develop?
Well, one of the things I've done, we just had a couple of individuals last week, and one of the things I'm going to start doing, because I think right now on our basketball team, we have 5 to 7 potential NBA basketball players. And one of the things I'm going to do, because we do individual instruction 5 days a week, and we work a lot on three-point shooting, but one of the problems, when the guys go from the college three, with the exception of the corners, to the NBA three, it's an entirely different shot, and the degree of difficulty is very high. So we're going to work on the NBA three-point shot as well as the college three. Now, a guy like Ryan McMahon, it's no problem for him. It's very easy. It's not any different. But a guy like Deng Adel or Quentin Snyder or some of the other guys, it's an entirely different shot. So what I was working on last week was, after we did the college threes, we immediately went to the NBA three. And you could see the struggles. So when they go from the college season, right away, they got a couple of weeks to prepare for the NBA line. It's not easy for them. So we're going to do it the whole year. And Deng's got to learn, obviously, playing two guard now. He's got to learn how to run pick and rolls. He's going to have to learn a different ball handling, how to get in the lane and make passes. He can dribble a ball, but now he's got to learn how to make plays off the bounce. And then, obviously, he has to become a consistent three-point shooter. And once he masters that, I believe his goal of being a lottery pick is realistic.
You've mentioned the freshmen will have to play maybe more than you have at any time you've been here. What do you expect from each of those guys coming in?
Well, some people think that I'm against playing freshmen, and I'll give you a little story. B.J. King said to me, I said, how'd you like it? He said, I liked it, Coach. I liked the Virginia game a lot more than some of the other games. And he said, some of the other games, I felt like I was on a short leash that you would. I said, well, you really weren't. I don't believe in that term. I said, do you know why you were, if you want to use that term? And he said, yes. I said, it's nothing you did wrong. It's just that I thought Deng Adel was a lot better than you. I said, you had a guy ahead of you that I thought was a lot better. No different than, say, Kyle Kurek playing behind Terrence Williams. So if somebody comes in and, Malik Williams, he could come in this year and start, as well as any of those freshmen. They could come in here and start. But if there's a guy ahead of them, if Peyton Seaver's ahead of you and you're coming in, you're a point guard, then it's tough. So it's I'm for playing freshmen, and they're going to have the opportunity, all of them, to start. They just got to go out there and earn it. Not easy to do sometimes, but it's possible. So we are going to rely on freshmen this year, certainly. They've got to play a lot of minutes.
What do you want to see from Ray and Honest this summer?
Well, I think, Honest is a little bit like a roller coaster, both in practice as well as games. He has some great games, great practices, and then he dips. And I've always felt with Honest, it's a lack of strength. That, he goes up in the Michigan game and misses a dunk. Well, he can almost dunk standing on his toes. And he goes up and misses a dunk. And that's just fatigue for lack of strength. So there's two areas he's got to improve on. He's got to improve his free throw shooting. He's got to improve his 16-foot jump shot. And then he's got to get stronger And right now, remember, he came in at 177. He went to Egypt, came back, and he was like in the 190s again. And right now, he's almost 230. So our goal is by the time we start practice in September for him to be 235 and maintain that. And I think you'll see a much stronger and better defensive rebounder. As far as shooting and making 16-foot jump shots, he's got to work this summer because he gets his hand on top of the ball or even instead of below. And what good shooters, like you see Steph Curry, because his hand's below the ball. He's got to learn to get his hand below the ball.
How was David kind of working with him close to the basket to go stronger to the basket?
He's got a great low post game. The only time if he gets knocked that down a little bit, Honest is 2 years ago, Honest was a terrific low post player, and he's a very good low post player, passer. It's the outside game he has to. To play in the NBA today, if you look at all the great centers in the NBA, I mean, whether you think it's Anthony Davis, whether you think it's Carl Towns, whether you think it's Cousins, Dwight Howard's with Atlanta, Dwight Howard doesn't even play in the last 8 minutes because of his free throw shooting. And then the other guys didn't make the playoffs, so the NBA's gone small. But the one thing you notice, with the exception of guys like Tristan Thompson or Kenneth Faried, who have a great skill, they all can shoot, and everybody's gone that way for all guys facing the basket. So a guy like Honest and Ray, you mentioned Ray, Ray's got the ability to be one of the best players I've coached, but he's his own worst enemy because he didn't put the time and effort into it last summer. But I think he's learned a valuable lesson about how important the summer is, and I think he's highly motivated right now, and I think he'll come back, and I think him along with Malik Williams and Lance, they're going to have some great battles.
Is that you use Donovan as an example for Deng and Ray, more so maybe Ray? Because at one time you said you didn't know if those three guys would be the better NBA player, and for him.
Well, Donovan put the time and effort into becoming a good shooter. He had no arc when he first came here, and with individual instruction, with summer work, Donovan worked his butt off in developing arc and becoming a very good shooter. And he's the opposite of what Ray did. He put the time and effort into his game to make himself a pro.
When Mike left, just talk about Jordan and what he
Mike who?
When Bellotto
Oh,
left.
sorry.
Talk about what Jordan brings to the
Easy it
staff.
is to
Sorry,
forget.
go on.
I thought you were talking about a player.
No, when Mike, what did Jordan bring to the staff, and just talk about his ability.
Well, Jordan has great high school contacts, so he knows the AAU coaches up close and personal, and very good friends with a lot of high school coaches, prep schools. He's young, and he's learning, but in the recruiting circles, he's outstanding.
Do you like the later deadline? I realize it's hard to put your roster together later into the spring, but do you like giving these guys the option?
It was great. It's great for Deng. He got a chance to work out, so he now knows what a workout is all about. He gets I get the feedback for him, and he talks to everybody, knows the interview process, and it was a great experience for Deng. He enjoyed it very much. So it definitely helps going longer. I don't think there is any perfect situation right now.
Coach, you talked about some of your former players, and I'd like to ask about Russ Smith. I watched the playoffs, and to an untrained eye, see Isaiah Thomas. He was about the same size. And
Probably smaller.
And it seemed, and Russ had more defensive ability, it seemed, here when he played here. And it just seems to me that if there was a team that actually gave him a chance to play, that he could have, if not that impact, an impact, but that he has not gotten that opportunity. And I was just wondering what you would think about
Well,
that.
Russ Smith went to Turkey and played 2 weeks, and the coach didn't want to coach him anymore. So the thing about Russ Smith is we all know he's a terrific young man, but unless you get to know Russ's game and you're patient and you're willing to live with some of his mistakes, then you'll never get to know him as a person or his game. So I think he can definitely play in the NBA, and I think he could be a major factor in the NBA, not just be a good bench guy. I think he could be a major factor. Like he played in the D-League All-Star game. I think he averaged 18 and 4 assists, and he could definitely make it a team and come off the bench and do a lot of damage. It's just you got to live with the occasional crazy move or the crazy shot, and you just got to give him a chance, because we wouldn't have won a championship, and he wouldn't be a first-team college All-American. If you can get by the blemish here and there, you'd have a beautiful face, but you got to get by the blemish, and a lot of coaches just don't want to do that. But I think he can definitely be a factor at the NBA level because he can pick you up full court and make it a nightmare for you to get the ball across half court, and then he can turn around and beat anybody one-on-one. And then what I told him, he's got to be a willing passer. But sometimes people just don't want to look through some of the blemishes and warts that you have.
Did you expect to lose Jalen?
I thought it was best what he did.
What losing him? Well, he did a lot of little things maybe that people don't see. I know. Is it a topic of a loss? Is that losing him? His rebounding is.
I think with Ray and Malik, we'll be fine.
You had an opportunity maybe to add somebody. Just talk about being comfortable with what you know.
We worked out two players, and I told both of them afterwards that neither one fit this program. That doesn't mean they're not very good players, going to fit very well in another program, but we told both right away when we worked them out that Louisville's not a good fit for you. And we also, at that point, I had a good feel with Deng coming back.
What about Quentin? What in the offseason? What do you give him to work on?
He's got to work on his defense. He offensively he can do it all. He's just got to learn to stop people and stay in front of people, and become. I told Q. It's almost like you've got to do what football players do. They try to improve their 40, because it's so important to the combine. You've got to improve your first step defensively so you can stay with your man. Both Ryan and Quentin have got to become big charge guys. Q was at one time a big charge guy. But if you keep backing up, you keep what we call abdicating. You keep backing up, and then the guy overpowers you to the basket, that's going to kill you. So both Q and Ryan have to learn to draw the charge early on.
What about Dwayne Sutton? What do you need from him this summer?
Well, Dwayne's probably the most physical person on our basketball team, but he's got to play physical. So far, I haven't seen that from him. I see a talented young man, but maybe it was because what I found with a lot of red shirts is they don't go in there and try to kill it in practice because they know they're just out there just on the scout team. And Dwayne's got a I heard one assistant coach of mine say, well, I don't want to use that analogy, but he's got to just play like a killer all the time and show that in him. If not, he's not going to play. But
Do you think he has it in him?
I don't know. I haven't seen that part of him, but he did average 12 and 8 at Asheville, and like I said, he's a very nice young man. But on the court now, he needs to be very physical. Oh God!
We had limited video. What do you,
Speaking of Peyton Seaver,
How many turnovers did you actually have?
what do you need to work on?
I had 11 assists per game in that league. Unfortunately, I didn't keep assists, but I kept it like my players. I kept it right below my belt.
So what do you need to work on?
Me? Playing with 65-year-olds instead of 55s.
How about the conditioning factor? Were you sore? I'd imagine after.
Well, I ran one practice, and I asked the guys who's in great shape, and only one person raised his hand, 5'9" guard. And we had our practice. Next day, he was in traction. So we all paced ourselves. I had to pull groin, pull quad. My Achilles was bothering me. But we had a bad basketball team. Reggie was way out of shape. And he shot every time he touched the ball. But he made most of them, so it was good.
Did you dive for a loose ball?
I tried to. Didn't come out very well. Had a tough time getting up, but
How much do you get to work with that freshman class this summer? What are the hours?
Quite a bit. See, you have 2 hours a week, and we'll separate, like this coming week, coming up, on Wednesday, I believe it is. We will have an hour practice, and then we may do 2 half-hour individuals, or do another hour practice. I just want to let the guys know what a half practice will look like. I'm really bullish on Jordan Wara, but right now he looks bad, his body. He's one of the highest body fat